So it seems like all the commotion that was caused after chapter 479 regarding James Lee's devious smile and how he might be Charles Troy actually managed to reach PTJ, because bro immediately got onto debunking that. Now obviously I'm joking, but if you've read the latest chapter of Lookism, you would know exactly what I'm talking about here. So let's get into how PTJ just debunked Lookism's biggest theory. So obviously the theory I'm referring to here is the one that revolves around James Lee being Charles Troy's second body. But to give a quick brief for those of y'all who've never heard of this, as I know a couple people who haven't, this theory basically states that James Lee is Charles Troy based on evidence we've seen according to the way both of these guys look, act, and even the way they're drawn. I'm using a Reddit post by a user called Lost from Light just for reference on this theory, by the way, so if you want to check it out fully, then you can check it out there. The first point listed in this theory is the fact that we've never seen James Lee and Charles Troy awake at the same time. Even during panels where they're both present and practically next to each other, one of them will most likely have both of their eyes closed, and this is suggesting that Charles Troy has mastered the ability to wake up and go back to sleep in a matter of fragments of seconds. And next up is the gestures that James Lee and Charles Troy seem to make, which are shared between the two, such as this image over here, which shows the clear parallel between them by taking a look at their posture, the lollipop being held in the same exact way and in the same hand, whilst the other hand is in their pocket. Their fighting styles are also similar, as they are both users of the invisible attacks. James and Charles also seem to take body parts from people as a way of finishing them off, as we saw Charles Troy taking Bak Kuno's leg, and James Lee taking Gong Soap's leg. So yeah, there's a lot more to this theory, even when Crystal called Gun when he was about to fight James Lee, and it was supposed to be Charles Troy, but obviously if this theory is accurate, then Charles Troy couldn't have called him because he was in James Lee's body right in front of Gunn. I'm not gonna go down the entire rabbit hole that is the James Lee is Charles Troy's second body theory, because this video is about the latest chapter and the information we received from it regarding this theory. So with Charles Troy kidnapping the director of the first affiliate and seemingly hiding all of the evidence that was created as it is his main specialty, and then James Lee apparently taking some more evidence that Charles Troy had no clue about, this whole chapter forms a pretty big paradox. And what I mean by that is there are two ways that you can look at this. One of them is obviously this theory being debunked, and now this theory could mainly be disproved by the fact that James Lee is literally filming Charles Troy walking out of the building as he was kidnapping Yol, and this would not be physically possible if he was actually the second body of Charles Troy. And to add to that, let's say James Lee was actually Charles Troy's second body all along, and he was scheming this in order to deceive Eugene and put him in a vulnerable spot. Why would he present Eugene with the evidence of Charles Troy kidnapping a minor in the first place? It seems pretty obvious that Eugene could just take this evidence and run with it, without a care in the world about whether or not James Lee is actually Charles Troy's second body. Now of course one can look at this chapter and immediately jump to certain conclusions, such as that James Lee is not Charles Troy's second body. And while this is definitely a very plausible conclusion, there's also a completely different lens that we can analyze this chapter through. So the first piece of evidence that really draws skepticism towards this theory being debunked is the fact that James Lee immediately gives us a huge information dump about exactly every single move that Charles made, while the only piece of evidence to show us that he was in fact in complete surveillance of him was the slow opacity shot of a drone hovering around the first affiliate's building. This panel alone could be looked at in many different ways. First of all, doesn't it seem kind of odd how the so-called genius of destroying evidence and all sorts of obfuscation would leave a building with the bloodied body of a minor on his shoulder, completely aware of the fact that the entire area is in a blackout right now and the authorities are in the process of trying to find the perpetrator? Now you may be thinking, yeah sure, but it was stated that it was completely dark around and Charles Troy couldn't see anything. But I mean, come on. The drone was literally shown to have lights turned on under it so that it can actually record Charles Troy committing the evil act that is not so evil, because I hate this fucking Yol mother. Not only that, but James Lee seemed to have also known every move that Charles Troy made inside the building when he was never in there in the first place. What I mean by that is, James Lee made a statement saying that the infiltrator had taken down Yol Bacon #1 and then stole all of the hard drives from the cameras. And first of all, how would James Lee have known any of this without actually being inside the building with Charles Troy? And let's say James Lee made the logical assumption that Charles Troy had stolen all of the hard drives from the security cameras. How would he know about the battle that he had with #1? Now these final two pieces of evidence aren't necessarily the strongest, but you could also note the fact that James Lee never told the police about this, as he thinks that Eugene is more important. And when you take a look at the panel where Charles Troy is leaving the building, his eyes seem to be drawn in the exact same way that they are drawn in every other panel he is shown with James Lee in. Now as I said, those last two pieces of evidence are kind of irrelevant and really easy to disprove, but I will say there could be a lot of claims made here to strengthen this theory even further from this chapter. Personally, I don't see how James Lee could still be Charles Troy's second body at this point, but I mean if he is, then I guess he fooled me too.